The studio lights blazed overhead, casting a golden wash across the set of the Kelly Clarkson Show. The audience buzzed, their chatter blending with the hum of cameras and crew rushing through last-minute adjustments. Kelly Clarkson, dressed in a navy blazer and jeans, stood at the stage's edge, her trademark grin lighting up as she chatted with a producer. Across from her, Gwen Stefani sat poised in a sleek white chair. Platinum hair shimmered under the lights, her scarlet lipstick sharp against pale skin. She fiddled with her oversized hoops, her posture relaxed but her eyes scanning the room with a quiet edge. The air carried more than the usual pre-show spark. Beneath the surface was something heavier, unspoken history. Kelly had invited Gwen to promote her new solo album, her first big project after years of juggling, No Doubt reunion tours, a Vegas residency, and her stint on The Voice. The crowd expected a playful segment, fashion talk, Blake Shelton anecdotes, a dash of Kelly's humor. But Kelly and Gwen weren't just industry acquaintances. They had clashed before as rival coaches, their competitive streaks sparking quiet tensions that never quite spilled into the public eye. Tonight was supposed to be a reset. The show began smoothly. Kelly's opening monologue landed, her self-deprecating Texas jokes drawing warm laughter. Gwen clapped along from her seat, smiling. But the smile never reached her eyes. When Kelly introduced her, the audience roared. Gwen strutted on stage in a black leather skirt and studded jacket, exuding rock star confidence. She and Kelly exchanged a brisk hug before Gwen settled into her chair. The first few minutes hit the expected beats. Inspiration behind the album, late-night studio stories, laughs from the crowd. Then Kelly leaned forward, her tone turning pointed. So, Gwen, this album feels really personal, raw. There's that track, Break the Mirror. Fans are saying it's about your time on The Voice, maybe even throwing shade at people you worked with. Care to spill the tea? The words struck like a match on dry kindling. Gwen's smile froze, her grip tightening on the armrest. The audience chuckled, expecting a cheeky dodge. Instead, Gwen's gaze sharpened. I don't know about shade, she said slowly, voice steady but edged. That song's about breaking free, owning your truth. People can read into it however they want, but I'm not here to throw punches. Her tone landed harder than the words. Kelly laughed, too loudly, too quickly. Oh, come on, Gwen. Fans live for the drama. No voice secrets in there? Not even a little jab at a certain cowboy we all know. The crowd erupted at the Blake reference. Gwen's face didn't move. She tilted her head, her voice dropping colder. If I've got something to say, Kelly, I say it. I don't hide it in lyrics. The tension rippled. Kelly's laugh faltered, her eyes flicking for footing. She tried to pivot to safer ground, asking about Gwen's past, with no doubt. But the answers grew clipped, her posture rigid. The audience clapped on cue, but even they felt the shift. Backstage, producers traded nervous glances. This wasn't the breezy promo segment they'd scripted, and Kelly, usually the master of smoothing over cracks, seemed to be leaning into the discomfort. Gwen, for her part, wasn't about to retreat. By the first commercial break, the set buzzed like a pressure cooker. The crowd whispered, uncertain whether they were witnessing playful banter or the beginnings of something sharper. As cameras cut, Gwen leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, staring straight ahead while a makeup artist rushed in. Kelly, meanwhile, paced to the stage's edge, speaking fast with a producer, her gestures sharp. The crew scrambled with cameras and lights, but the air was thick, waiting for the next spark. When the show returned, Kelly bounded back, smile fixed, but eyes watchful. "Welcome back, y'all," she cheered. The audience responded on cue. Gwen offered only a tight smile, her fingers drumming on her knee. Kelly pressed on. So, Gwen, you've been in this game a long time. No doubt solo, the voice. What's been the toughest part of staying true to yourself in an industry that's always trying to pull you in different directions? It was meant as a softball. Gwen didn't take it that way. The toughest part, she said coolly, is figuring out who you are and not letting anyone box you in. People will always try to tell you what you should be. I've never been good at that. I do me. Always have. The audience applauded, but her words carried a sting, like they were meant for more than the question. Kelly's smile faltered, just for a beat. Totally get that, she said. But don't you ever feel the pressure to play the game? Like on The Voice. All that competition, the coaching rivalries. That's gotta test you, right? Something flickered in Gwen's eyes. The crowd caught it, murmurs spreading. I don't play games, she said sharply. On The Voice, I showed up for the artists, not the drama. Some people love stirring that pot. The jab hung in the air. Kelly's laugh came half a beat too late. Whoa, okay. Shade alert, she said, her tone laced with challenge. Come on, Gwen. You're saying you never got caught up in the rivalries? Not even a little? With, say, me. The crowd gasped, then broke into nervous laughter. Gwen's lips thinned into a hard line. If I've got a problem, Kelly, you'd know it. I don't do subtle. The audience erupted, some laughing, some gasping. But Gwen wasn't smiling. Kelly, still grinning, decided to push the line further. Oh, I know you're direct, girl. But let's be real. We've had our moments, right? Like that time we went head-to-head over that country singer. You were fierce. The mention of their voice days struck a nerve. Gwen's posture stiffened, her voice dropping lower, colder. Fierce is one way to put it. Some might say others were playing dirty. The word hit like a slap. The audience's laughter faltered into shocked murmurs. Kelly's smile froze, her eyes narrowing. Dirty? Whoa, that's a big word. Care to unpack that? The veneer of friendliness was gone now. Gwen leaned forward, voice steady but sharpened with steel. I'm just saying, some people will do anything to win, even if it means bending the truth. That's not me. I don't play like that. The crowd stirred uneasily. Applause scattered, and hesitant. Backstage, producers gestured wildly, one mouthing to Kelly, "Wrap it up." But Kelly wasn't about to back down. Okay, Gwen, let's keep it real. If you're throwing shots, own it. Who's bending the truth? The silence that followed was heavy. Gwen's eyes locked on Kelly's, her jaw tight. For a heartbeat, it seemed like she might let it slide. But then she leaned back, her voice cutting like glass. You want names? Maybe start with the mirror. The audience gasped, some cheering, others whispering. Kelly's laugh came sharp, forced. Wow. Okay, we're going there, she said. But the humor was gone. The stage manager signaled frantically for a break. But before the cameras could cut, Gwen stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. She didn't glance back as she strode off stage, leaving Kelly frozen, the tension sizzling in the air. The commercial break hit like a pause button, but the studio energy only grew hotter. Backstage, Gwen stood near the craft services table, arms crossed tight, fury etched across her face. A handler offered her a water bottle. She waved it away, eyes fixed on some invisible point. Crew members kept their distance, whispering in low tones as the buzz of equipment hummed around them. Across the stage, Kelly sat on the edge of her desk, bent close to a producer, her hands gesturing sharply. The audience, still seated, was alive with chatter. Phones glowed as people filmed the chaos or hammered out posts. The moment was already spilling onto social media. When the stage manager called places, Kelly hopped up, brushing her jeans, her smile snapping back into place. Thin, brittle, Gwen lingered a beat before finally walking back, her steps deliberate, her leather skirt glinting under the lights. The audience applauded, but it sounded different now. Less joyful, more like the roar before a fight. "Welcome back, y'all," Kelly said brightly, her voice just a little too loud. "We're here with the one and only Gwen Stefani," the crowd cheered. Gwen gave a tight smile, posture rigid. Kelly pivoted fast. "So, Gwen, let's talk fashion. Your line is killing. It. What's the vibe this season?" It was a clear reset attempt. Gwen wasn't playing along. "It's about being authentic," she said flatly. "Wearing what feels right, not what someone else tells you to." The words hung heavy. Kelly's eyes flickered. She leaned forward, her tone still light but sharpened with an edge. "Love that. Authenticity is huge. But you know, sometimes people misread intentions, right? Think you're throwing shade when really you're just being real. Ever deal with that?" The audience perked up, sensing the trap. Gwen's gaze locked on Kelly's. "All the time," she said, her voice deliberate, cool. "Some people project their own stuff onto you, make it about them. I just keep it moving." "The crowd murmured, catching the subtext. Kelly's smile tightened. "Okay, but in this industry, don't you ever feel like you have to call it out? Set the record straight?" Gwen's laugh was sharp, humorless. "I don't waste energy on that. If someone's got a problem with me, they can say it to my face. I'm right here." The studio erupted. Half cheers, half gasps. Kelly's face, flushed, her hands gripping the desk. "Oh, I'm all about face-to-face," she shot back, her voice rising. "But sometimes, Gwen, it feels like you're saying a lot without saying it." That was it. Gwen leaned forward, her voice slicing through the noise. "Kelly, if you've got something to say, just say it. Don't dance around it. I'm not here for games." The crowd went wild, the roar drowning out Kelly's attempted laugh. Her eyes flashed with irritation. "I'm just keeping it real. Gwen, thought we were having a conversation." "This isn't a conversation," Gwen snapped, her voice icy. "It's an ambush." The word detonated in the room. The crowd split, half cheering, half stunned into silence. Backstage, producers scrambled, signaling frantically. Kelly opened her mouth to respond, but Gwen was already on her feet. Her chair screeched against the floor. "I'm done," she said, loud enough for the mics to catch. She ripped off her mic pack, dropped it on the chair, and strode toward the exit. Phones lit up across the audience, capturing every second. Kelly sat frozen, her smile gone, as the director shouted for a break. The cameras cut, but chaos didn't. Gwen's boots echoed down the corridor as her team struggled to keep pace, calling after her. She slammed through the green room doors, pacing, her breath sharp, her mind replaying Kelly's prodding again and again. Back on set, Kelly stood smoothing her blazer, her voice low to a producer. "We good?" The producer nodded, but her eyes darted toward the wings where Gwen should have been. The theme music swelled, lights brightened, and Kelly forced her way back into her mark. "All right, folks, let's keep this party going." The applause was hesitant, the energy fractured. Gwen's empty chair sat glaring under the spotlight, the real star of the show. On social media, clips of her storming off were already going viral. Hashtags like Gwen vs. Kelly and For Talk Show, takedown climbing, the ranks, Fans argued in real time, some praising Gwen for standing her ground, others blasting her for walking out. And in her green room, Gwen sat with her phone, scrolling. Her assistant murmured updates, urging her to put out a statement, to control the narrative. But Gwen didn't answer. Her jaw was set, her mind still locked on the moment she'd dropped the mic, and walked. But Gwen only shook her head, her voice low, almost weary. "Let them talk. I said what I said." She wasn't rattled, not exactly. But there was weight in her tone, a mixture of defiance and exhaustion. Her assistant hesitated before speaking, again. "The producers? They're asking if you'll return for the final segment." Gwen's laugh cut sharp through the air. "Final. They already got enough out of me." Back on set, Kelly powered through, her smile bright but brittle, her jokes landing flatter than usual. She leaned harder into the energy, a little manic, determined to fill the space Gwen had left behind. But the audience felt the absence like a ghost, an unresolved tension hanging in the air. When the musical guest played, Kelly's eyes flicked to the side, where a producer was signaling something. Her expression didn't give much away. But the show was live. There would be no editing out the mess. And everyone knew it was only a matter of minutes before the outside world began dissecting what had just happened. As the credits rolled, Kelly thanked the audience with her usual warmth. But the smile didn't reach her eyes. The instant the cameras cut, her shoulders sagged. She turned to a producer, her voice clipped. "What now?" The producer didn't answer. Instead, she gestured toward a bank of monitors. Clips of Gwen's abrupt exit were already looping across news feeds. The fallout was inevitable. And both women knew it. In the green room, Gwen stood abruptly, slinging her bag over her shoulder. She was done. The heavy studio door clanged behind her as she pushed into the warm Los Angeles night. Paparazzi were already waiting at the gates, cameras flashing as she slid into the back of a black SUV, oversized sunglasses shielding her face. She said nothing, staring out the window as her phone buzzed nonstop with notifications. Each vibration felt like a new cut, replaying the confrontation in her head. Inside the studio, Kelly finished her goodbyes and retreated backstage, jaw tight. Her producers swarmed, tablets in hand, showing trending charts and headlines. Gwen's walkout was already the top story, dissected frame by frame. Kelly scanned one headline, her lips pressing into a hard line. "They're eating this up," she muttered, handing the screen back. Her team urged her to post a statement to control the narrative. Kelly shook her head, resolute. "I'm not playing their game." But online, the game was already playing itself. Gwen's fans flooded. Timelines, praising her for standing her ground, calling Kelly manipulative. Kelly's supporters pushed back, accusing Gwen of being oversensitive, unable to handle a little heat. Memes of Gwen's walk-off spread like wildfire, some mocking her, others hailing her as a queen. Talk show analysts were quick to speculate about old voice rivalries, while gossip blogs dug up every past interaction between the two women. The story had outgrown the show. It was a cultural moment now, a clash of titans with no clear winner. Miles from the studio, Gwen finally glanced at her phone. Her team had drafted a neutral statement about focusing on her music. She waved it away. "No, I'm not apologizing for being real." Her assistant hesitated, then showed her a clip already circulating. Kelly standing outside the studio, facing reporters. Kelly's tone was measured but unmistakably pointed. "I asked real questions," she said. "If someone can't handle that, that's on them." The jab landed hard. Gwen's eyes narrowed as she tossed her phone onto the seat beside her. She didn't need to say anything. Her silence was enough. Back in her dressing room, Kelly scrolled through the same clips. Her team was divided, some pushing for a statement, others advising silence. Kelly hovered over her phone, tempted to fire back. Instead, she set it down, jaw tight. She hadn't meant to start a war. But Gwen's accusation of playing dirty rang in her ears, stoking a slow burn of anger. She'd built her career on authenticity. Now Gwen had painted her as the villain. On live TV, the story was spiraling, and both women could feel it. Gwen's team fielded non-stop calls from outlets begging for comment, while Kelly's producers braced for the next day's taping, knowing every word would be scrutinized. The internet wanted more. The divide was sharpening with each post, each retweet. And somewhere in the noise, the truth of what had actually happened between them was already being rewritten. The years of unspoken slights weren't buried. They were rising, surfacing in real time, in headlines and hashtags, in fan wars that turned into cultural battlegrounds. Neither woman was ready to yield. The choice of what came next, whether a press statement, a lyric, or pointed silence, wouldn't calm the storm. It would only sharpen it. As Gwen's car cut through traffic toward her hotel, and Kelly slipped out a side exit beneath a storm of camera flashes, the feud had already broken free from their control. By nightfall, it wasn't just a clash between two artists. It was a global spectacle. The fallout from the Kelly Clarkson Show spread like ink in water, seeping into every crevice of pop culture. Gwen Stefani, now ensconced in her hotel suite, sat barefoot on a velvet couch, laptop balanced on her knees. The glow of the screen illuminated headline after headline. Pop titans collide. Stefani walks. Clarkson fights back. The voice rift spills into daytime. Her team swirled around her, phones pressed to ears, firing off strategies. Issue, a statement, live stream an apology, flip the narrative into album promo. But Gwen said nothing. Her stillness was deliberate. Silence, in its own way, was an answer. She had weathered storms before. Scandals, heartbreaks, public dissection. And she knew that striking too soon could turn power into weakness. Her gaze drifted from the headlines to the empty page in her notes app, fingers tapping a rhythm. Words began to take shape, raw and jagged. If she spoke, it would not be to a camera. It would be to a melody. Across town, Kelly Clarkson was in a different kind of war zone. Her management's office had transformed into a command center, monitors glowing with real-time social metrics, PR strategists volleying spin tactics like generals at a battlefield map. Kelly paced the carpet, boots scuffing in sharp rhythm. "Or didn't start this," she said, voice edged with steel. "I ask questions, like I always do." She's the one who made it explode. Her manager gave a measured nod, but his attention never left the numbers. The millions of views piling up, the clips replayed on endless loop, the beast growing larger than either of them. Kelly's instinct screamed to grab a mic, go live, reclaim her narrative. But the council around her urged restraint. Every word would be Tinder online, the feud mutated by the minute. Recaps dissected micro-expressions, Gwen's tight jaw, Kelly's smile stretched too thin. Fan forums mined the voice archives for signs of ancient bad blood. Theories sprouted. Was Blake Shelton caught in the middle? Was this staged? Was it the crack in a friendship that had never been whole? Some voices lauded Gwen, praising her walkout as a stand for authenticity. Others branded her fragile, unwilling to face hard truths. Kelly, too, was split down the middle. Truth-teller to some, aggressor to others. The hashtags declared war. Team Gwen, Team Kelly, climbing and colliding in the feeds. When Gwen's phone buzzed with a text, a screenshot of Kelly's latest interview clip, her doubling down, calling it all a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Her lips curved, not into a smile, but into recognition. The board was set. This was chess now. Her team begged her again to post something subtle, something polished about rising above. Gwen shook her head. Let her talk, she murmured, final as stone. Instead, she typed new lyrics, every line sharper than the last. Kelly, meanwhile, drafted a tweet, fingers hovering. Staying true to yourself means never apologizing for honesty. She deleted it, drafted another, deleted again. The split voices of her team echoed in her ears. Soften the tone. No, lean in harder. She closed the app, thumb trembling, her own doubt pressing harder than the public's rage. For the first time, she wondered if she had crossed a line she hadn't seen. By night's end, both women stood at parallel crossroads, miles apart, yet locked together in the same orbit of scrutiny. Gwen closed her laptop, her mind already pouring into a song that would bleed louder than any interview. Kelly put her phone face down, turning her focus to the next show, determined not to be undone. The feud, for now, was a standoff, its resolution unwritten. But in the quiet spaces, both women knew the truth. This wasn't about a single show, a single question, or even a single exit. It was about years of rivalry and pride, two careers crossing and colliding, two women unwilling to bend, their story far from over.